Hi, I'm Jamel Hamka. I'm the owner of Recherche Kennels in Statesville, North Carolina. What I'd like to do in this video is go into detail about our second level in our puppy training institute we call Canine College. Canine College starts at 12 weeks of age and ends at 16 weeks of age. Puppy Academy is the program that begins at 6 weeks of age and ends at 12 weeks of age. That's 250 hours of training. And if you scroll up, you will see a detailed video about Puppy Academy. This video will end at Puppy Academy and will start Canine College. And like the last video, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Puppy Training Institute and we're going to give you the goals and the very specific things that we work on, what to expect from a typical 16-week-old puppy that has graduated Canine College. These puppies are not our best students. They're not the brightest. They're not the dumbest. They're average 12-week-old puppies. So you can see what to expect from a puppy that graduates Canine College. The first pillar in Canine College I'd like to go over is house training. House training is maybe the most important pillar in our Puppy Training Institute because we spend almost 2/3 of our time just working in this area. Now, in house training, it's more than just potty training. It's a lot of things, and we're going to go through that. Obviously, the most important part of house training is potty training. A puppy that graduates Canine College, our goal is for them to hold the restroom 2 hours during the day. And we also in house training work on crate training. Crate training is where they sleep at night in a crate without potting, without screaming. We also feed them in a crate. But our goal for a puppy at 16 weeks of age is to be able to sleep at night in a crate for 6 hours. The other areas that we work on a lot is jump training. These dogs love to jump up on us. And so they're not perfect at 16 weeks of age, but they're probably 2 to 3 times better at 16 weeks of age than they are at 12 weeks of age. And so if they do jump up, we say the word off. That is the word that we use, and they will jump down right away. Also part of house training is bite training. As you probably know, puppies love to bite on your hands and their teeth are just razor sharp at that age. The great thing is a puppy at 16 weeks of age is basically no longer biting your hands. If they do, we immediately tell them no, and they basically stop that from 16 weeks on. The other part of house training is stair training. These puppies many times are afraid of stairs. We've had many of our clients tell us their dogs would never go up and down stairs. And so we introduce it to them early and often. At 12 weeks of age, they're barely going up and down slowly. At 16 weeks of age, they're going up and down basically at a normal pace, which is good. And then the last area of house training is chew training. And in chew training, we're training them to respond to the word no when they chew something they shouldn't. We have toys always on the ground, but we also put temptations. We'll put a rug on the ground. We'll put a shoe on the ground. Sometimes we'll put a newspaper on the ground or electrical cord. We obviously can't prepare them for everything that's in every person's home, but at the very least is when they grab what they shouldn't grab, we say the word no or or sometimes just clap our hands, and they'll immediately stop chewing. And they're probably twice as good at listening at 16 weeks than at 12 weeks. The second pillar of our Puppy Training Institute that takes the most skill by far is obedience training. One thing that makes us unique is that we have certified professional dog trainers that work with obedience and socialization. And these are trainers that have had years of experience before they came to us. We didn't just hire people and train them to train. They've had years of experience. Most of our trainers have trained literally hundreds of dogs for years. And so they're very good at what they do. Now, there's many parts of obedience that we work on. The first thing that we work on is sit. And a Canine College puppy should be able to do sit with a combination of hand and word. We have verbal commands, we have hand commands, and we have lead commands. Now, a 12-week-old, you have to use the lead and the words to get them to get into a sit. A 16-week-old, you just say the word and they will go into a sit. You still have to use hand. They can't do it with just hand, but they can do it with just sit. And then with the lead, if you pull up on the lead, a 16-week-old will be able to sit. The second area that we work on is stay. This is probably the most difficult of the commands. Our goal for a 16-week-old is to be able to hold a stay for 10 seconds at a distance of 10 feet. That's much better than a 12-week-old. A 12-week-old, our goal is 5 seconds at a distance of 5 feet. That may seem like, oh, it's only double. No, that's quadruple if you think about it. It's twice the distance and twice the length. A puppy at 16 weeks old is much, much more obedience trained and mature. It's a huge difference. The third area that we work on in obedience is the down command. The down is a point to the ground. And at this age, they're not doing it only with hands or only with words. So we still have to continue to say the word down and point to the ground, and they will go to down. But if you pull sideways or down on the lead, they will go down without any words. So they actually understand that lead. It's kind of like a horse's harness. You pull up, they sit. You pull sideways or down, they'll go down. The other command is come. That's a very difficult command. Now at 12 weeks of age, we have to be really peppy. There can't be distractions. You have to bend down and say, come, 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 come. Really high pitch, really excited to get them to come. A 16-week-old is so much better. They're able to come at a much longer distance, and they just come at a regular voice. No high pitch, no extreme. We still have to bend over, and we still have to tell them to come in a normal pitch voice, but they will come at a much longer distance. And then the last portion of our obedience training is place. Place is very important because it allows you to work on the two most difficult commands of stay and come. And so you tell them place, and they jump up on the Kuranda cot. You will want to buy that cot because you'll be able to transfer the training from our home to your home. You'll also be able to transfer the training from your home to vacation homes, to a ball game. You have a way to teach your dog stay and come, and they actually get that easier than stay and come on the ground. If you tell them place, they'll jump up on the Kuranda cot. They don't have to lay down. Normally they do. They can sit up. They just have to stay on that cot until they're released. And a puppy at 16 weeks of age can hold their stay for 15 seconds at a distance of 15 feet with light distractions. So they're doing much better. There is actually one more thing I forgot to mention, and that is kennel. Now, as I mentioned, house training, they sleep in the kennel, but the obedience trainers teach them to go into a kennel. And a great thing about a 16-week of age puppy, they don't need to be lured into a kennel. You say the word kennel, you may have to top the tap of the crate, but they will go into the kennel on their own volition, and they'll be able to stay in the kennel until they're released. Now the door typically has to be shut. Typically it's not until older programs where we can leave the door open and walk out of sight, but at least they will go into the kennel, and you don't have to force or trick a puppy to go into a kennel. The third pillar of our Puppy Training Institute is socialization. Now this may seem like a small pillar, but it's extremely important. If your puppy was handled by one or two people in one place their entire life, and you got them at 16 weeks of age, they're going to start having some weird social issues. They're going to be afraid of things. They're going to be afraid of different people. They're going to have issues with thunderstorms, and they're going to have issues with stairs. They're going to have a lot of social issues. So this is extremely important. Also, it will have a negative effect on them bonding with you and your family. One of the most common questions we get here is, will my puppy bond to me getting them older? Absolutely. One, because they're a social breed, but secondly is because we have socialization as a main pillar of our Puppy Training Institute. It is extremely important. We know it is. We have seen negative effects of puppies that were not socialized well. So there's really two segments or two sub-segments underneath socialization. The first one is desensitization, and that's where we work extensively in trying to desensitize them to things that can scare them. Some of the most common things are thunderstorms, the television, hair dryers, vacuum cleaners, stairs, the car, general grooming, going to different places. Those are things that we know going ahead of time that this is something that will scare an older puppy. A puppy typically goes through a fear period between 6 and 10 months of age. That's usually the time where they're afraid of things for no reason. And so we have seen them, all those things I just mentioned are areas that they're afraid of. So we desensitize them ethically and professionally. We have speakers throughout our entire system, and we have CDs that we play constantly to try to desensitize them to things like the city sounds. We have a whole CD that's New York City that has fire fire trucks in the background. We have a CD that just has thunderstorms, and we play it and blare it, and it's very good. And we're trying to desensitize them at a young age. We have a large 65-inch TV in their potty training room, their house training area. And we play that not for our workers, we play that to desensitize the puppies to all the sights and sounds of a television. As I mentioned earlier, in obedience training, we train them to go up and down stairs. Otherwise, they're going to be petrified of stairs. We groom them constantly. We even groom them with a teeth brush. They're going to be losing all those teeth, but we do that so they're used to it. We get them used to the hairdryer. We have a vacuum cleaner in their puppy training, in the house training area, and so that they're used to a vacuum cleaner, and so it doesn't scare them. So a puppy at 16 weeks of age is much more socialized and desensitized. They're not perfect. They're not afraid of all those things, but we've rarely ever had a puppy that's afraid of thunderstorms. In fact, we've never had a puppy afraid of thunderstorms that have graduated canine college. Very little TV. They're going to have still some issues with the hair dryer, still some issues with some general scary things, but they're a lot better at 16 weeks than they are at 12 weeks. The second portion of socialization is just, I couldn't even rename it. I just call it socialization. And that's really getting used to different people and different places. Now, a puppy at 16 weeks of age has all of their shots. They just got their final puppy shot right at 15 weeks of age. So the great thing about getting your puppy at 16 weeks of age is you can take them out anywhere. You don't have to quarantine them. You can walk them around the block. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why people want a puppy at 16 weeks of age versus 12 weeks of age. The only bad thing is they just got their final shot. So we're not doing a lot of field trips with a puppy that has graduated 16 weeks of age. We don't take them out to Lowe's or Home Depot because we don't know what dogs have had before there. So we take them to the vet, and we have 22 staff members that handle them. We also have different breeds. We don't just breed one breed. So the dogs are used to seeing other breeds of dogs, and so they're used to that, so that helps them out. But they don't start getting field trips, a lot of field trips, until they have graduated canine college and they go into master's program because they don't have all of their shots. So that is the third pillar of our Puppy Training Institute. The fourth and final pillar of our Puppy Training Institute is outside training, and that is composed of three main things. The first one and the main area is leash training. These puppies love to pull on a leash, and they tug constantly. If we don't work on this from a young age, they are going to be terrible. So we have to work extensively. Now, a puppy at 12 weeks is walking on a leash, but they will lose it. A puppy at 16 weeks of age can walk on a leash much better, probably 3 times better than a puppy at 12 weeks. They're able to walk on our left side, and when we stop walking, they auto sit. Occasionally they will forget, and we pop on the leash a little bit up, and it will get them to go back into their sit. We train them again in obedience training, and when we pull up on the leash, they'll sit. So occasionally with canine college, a puppy will not auto sit, and we have to give them a reminder. Also, occasionally they will start pulling a little bit, and again, we stop and we give the correction, and they learn and they look to us. You'll notice that a 16-week-old is much more focused on us than a 12-week-old. Literally, they're probably 3 times better leash trained than a puppy at 12 weeks. The second area of outside training is car training. Again, as I mentioned in socialization training, we take them on car trips, but this car training is just getting them used to a car, getting them to ride in cars. Now, a puppy at 16 weeks old is, when they graduate, has finally gotten all of their puppy shots, and so they're fully inoculated. So they don't get a lot of car trips. We take them to the vet. We take them maybe one other time, so they're used to being in a car, but we don't take them out on field trips on the weekly basis like we do for master's program. So they'll be in a car. They won't be perfect, but they will be introduced to a car. And then the last area is weather permitting, and that's swim training. And we only do swim training when the weather's warmer. The last thing we want to do is introduce your puppy to water when it's in the middle of the winter, and that actually will have a negative impact. They'll be scared of water if we do that. So this is, again, only applicable to our puppies that are older. Now, a puppy that's 16 weeks of age, they are in the water and they're doing swimming. They're not perfect, but at least they know how to swim a short distance, and we'll take them out swimming, and that's the last area of our outside training. So that is our canine college. Again, it starts at 12 weeks of age. It ends at 16 weeks of age. The puppies have 100 more hours of training, but it is the most productive period of our training program. We always tell people a puppy at 12 weeks of age is around 25% of their training potential. A puppy at 16 weeks of age is about 65% of their training potential. So we highly encourage you, if at all possible, to keep your puppy in at least Canine College. If you want your puppy as young as possible, but get the most bang for your buck, Canine College is that program, because a puppy just starts getting their training around 10 weeks of age. So when you get them home at 12 weeks of age, they are not mastered. You will have to continue to obedience train them 4 to 5 days a week for 15 to 20 minutes a day. A puppy at 20 weeks of, or 16 weeks of age, you have to train them maybe 1 or 2 days a week, maybe 15 minutes a day. So they are much better trained, probably 3 times better trained at 16 weeks of age. I hope this video helped you see what a typical Canine College puppy looks like and acts like. Thank you so much, and God bless.